Good evening, I'm Ian Hanomansing. Tonight, new stats confirm it. Canadians went on a summer spending spree.
We're hopeful that we're on the path to a bit of recovery for sure.
We'll look at the crush to buy clothes, cars, and houses.
Enough is enough.
With COVID-19 cases rising, BC gets tough on rule breakers.
The first thing that we will have in mind after the result is unity, unity, unity.
Tens of thousands of Canadian Conservatives are choosing a new leader. Party insiders tell us what's at stake. And keeping a streak alive.
You know what? We're going to brighten up a lot of hearts today.
Playing through a pandemic to honor history. This is The National. When COVID-19 hit, much of Canada's economy screeched to a halt. Retailers shutting their doors in some cases for months, but new numbers show how that delay created demand and a big retail comeback, at least for now. Sales in June were higher than in February, just before the pandemic was declared, at $53 billion, a nearly 24% gain from May. Sales of new homes ticked up from June to July, and July existing home sales jumped 14% year over year. In a moment, Aaron Salzman looks at where many are choosing to live, but let's start with Aaron Collins and what people are buying in stores.
At this Vancouver clothing store, shoppers are back, browsing and buying.
This is my first time actually shopping for clothes since March.
Sales are up here. Still, they're just half of pre-pandemic levels, but hope has returned.
I think every business is in a different circumstance right now, but we're hopeful. We're hopeful that we're on the path to a bit of recovery for sure.
Ontario and Quebec led Canada's retail resurgence. Clothing, furniture, and cars were at the top of Canadians' shopping lists. But experts say there could still be some bumpy road ahead for retailers.
It's encouraging, but we're not out of the woods yet. We've seen some impressive gains across a number of categories: vehicle sales, home sales, total retail sales. Some job losses have been recovered, but we're still down about 1.25 million jobs compared to when the pandemic first struck.
At this Calgary car dealer, that turnaround is easy to see.
What we have here is a Cherokee Trailhawk. It's a mid-size SUV, fully equipped. In my opinion, the best value in the Jeep brand lineup.
Can you keep them on the lot?
Not a chance. We have our lot attendant rearranging our inventory daily to make it appear as if we have more inventory right now. That's how much we're selling.
Car sales shot up more than 50% across Canada in June. And on this lot, well, they think they know why.
And if you lock Canadians in their homes for 2 months, and they're not able to go out and spend their money the way that they used to, what we're finding is a lot of people are actually able to save and put away, so they have larger down payments.
So Canadians are buying again, but how they do it is shifting in this pandemic. Online sales have increased by 70%. The question now is if that shift and this retail rebound are here to stay. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Calgary.
I'm Aaron Salzman in Toronto. After years of waiting, Darcy Fitzpatrick has just bought his first home, a detached 3-bedroom in Hamilton, Ontario.
We were ready to buy just before the pandemic hit, and then we kind of had to put it on pause because everything was just, no one knew what was happening.
And it's that pause by thousands just like him that led to eye-popping real estate numbers this week. There were more homes sold in Canada last month than in any previous July, pushing prices to record highs as well. Much of that was driven by pent-up demand. COVID-19 shutdowns in March, April, and May shoehorned the spring real estate market, normally the year's busiest, into the summer season. But there may be other factors as well.
I suspect that there's probably a lot of first-time buyer demand still out there at that time that would have been more than willing in a very competitive market to do everything virtually if they had to.
The oldest of those tech-comfortable millennials are now pushing 40, well into their prime home buying years. COVID-19 has forced interest rates to historic lows, making it cheaper for them to get mortgages. And real estate agents say working remotely is also allowing many first-time buyers to look in lower-priced areas outside the country's priciest housing markets.
Post-pandemic, this is as far as they get a bigger house with a bigger backyard, they won't mind to go a less dense area.
That option to work from home in an outlying community was the clincher for Darcy Fitzpatrick.
I wouldn't have moved to Hamilton. My wife wouldn't have moved to Hamilton if we had to drive to work in Toronto.
A long-awaited foothold in the real estate market, thanks in part to a pandemic. Aaron Saltzman, CBC News, Toronto.
Across Canada, nearly 500 new COVID-19 cases were reported today. 90 of those were added in BC, along with 2 deaths. Alberta also reporting 2 more deaths and 144 new cases, the province's highest one-day case count since mid-July. Ontario added 131 new cases, but that includes some that weren't reported yesterday because of a data glitch. Quebec reported 93 new cases and added 3 more deaths to its total. This week, Quebec also lost its youngest COVID-19 victim to date, a 19-year-old from Montreal. As Sarah Levitt explains, his death is a painful reminder that this virus can pose a danger to young people.
Beaming, Don Benin Sapu sat down for a belated high school graduation photo in mid-July. Around the same time, he started to feel sick. He battled COVID-19 for over a month. On August 16th, Nsapu died in hospital, the first Quebec victim under 20. His father is grief-stricken and stunned. Nsapu's family says he had no known underlying health conditions and just where he contracted the virus is not known.
People should not panic when they see a case like this, but it should tell them that we still need to be very cautious.
At the beginning of the pandemic, the virus raced through older populations. Now, younger people are a focus.
If we don't keep the rates in this population as low as possible, even rare, serious outcomes could occur.
The rate, though, is going up in Canada. The proportion of cases in people under 30 jumped from 16.9% on May 1st to 23.8% on August 19th. It's part of a global trend. These images of a huge pool party held in Wuhan, China, the original epicenter of the coronavirus pandemic, shocked many.
I did see the picture that
it's prompted the World Health Organization to weigh in.
We are seeing people, even young people, who are ending up with severe disease. We are seeing young people who are ending up in ICU, and we are seeing young people who are dying from this virus.
And for every life lost, loved ones are left in pain, like Tsapu's family preparing to hold a funeral instead of sending him off to college. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
BC has announced a new plan to crack down on partiers as it, too, tries to stop a rise in COVID cases among young people. Tanya Fletcher lays out the new penalties in store for rule breakers.
Large house parties, unsanctioned events on our streets, on our beaches. Enough is enough.
Those words after weeks of officials first asking nicely.
We know what skills to use to do all of these things safely.
Then foreshadowing what was to come.
Starting with warnings, of course, and then getting into more severe penalties.
Now effective immediately, sweeping new penalties for scenes like this. $2,000 fines for anyone organizing an event or hosting a party that exceeds the 50-person limit. And $200 tickets for attendees who refuse to leave or follow directions from police.
I think it was inevitable that stricter measures would be implemented.
Stephen Taylor studies pandemics. He says the province had to shift strategies because the soft approach wasn't curbing the rise in cases among young people.
They need to see ticketing in action, that people who host large parties getting fines, that needs to happen and be seen.
And it's not just police. The province has also empowered liquor and cannabis inspectors, even conservation officers, to enforce the new penalties. The biggest challenge will be trying to monitor private parties in people's homes.
We are asking the public to call 311 if they see anything that concerns them.
On the streets, the new approach does not come as a surprise.
No one's listening to them, so I think something has to be done.
If we need to fine people, what else can we do for them to stop having parties?
Apparently we just can't do it without,
Big Brother stepping in, so.
And in case the fines aren't enough, a new social media blitz and yet another attempt to target the problem demographics. So what if all of this is not enough?
We'll be back in lockdown if this doesn't work.
Those words above all, perhaps the most effective way to halt the bad behavior right in its tracks. Tanya Fletcher, CBC News, Vancouver.
Many Canadians are worried about what will happen when schools reopen next month. Some parents banding together to deliver a kind of do-it-yourself teaching for their kids. But as Deanna Sumanak-Johnson explains, it's not an option everyone can afford.
North Vancouver mother Elizabeth Ma just didn't feel sending her kids back to school was the right choice, and BC doesn't have online learning available for most students.
We were concerned about whether or not our kids would be able to maintain distance and their own safety and health in a school system, but we really wanted them to be able to have socialization.
Ma is among a growing number of Canadians who are joining so-called learning pods, families pooling their money and time, and in many cases hiring a teacher to educate a small group of children. But pods can come with problems. If someone gets COVID, parents could be liable.
I would like people to know that homeowners insurance, which has coverage for liability for bodily injury, personally, excludes claims arising from the transmission of communicable disease.
Pods can also exacerbate income disparity.
There's a lot of parents in my community that does not have that option or choice or can afford to do it. A lot of them are forced to return back to work, even though they have concerns about their children returning to school in September. So they're not able to create learning pods.
Anna K. Brown says she doesn't fault the parents who are creating these pods, but the government for not providing better funding for schools, especially those in low-income areas. And Elizabeth Ma agrees.
This is the time to modernize and really step it up and see how our education system the public education system lacks resources.
Until then, parents who have been forced to take a more active role in their children's education will continue to get creative in the face of COVID. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Overseas in Berlin, at least 41 schools have reported COVID-19 cases. Hundreds of students and teachers are in quarantine. Berlin reopened its schools nearly 2 weeks ago, one of the first German cities to do that. Masks are mandatory in common areas of a school and when entering classrooms. Spain is dealing with a troubling resurgence in COVID-19 infections, the country reporting more than 3,000 new cases for the fourth day running. Nearly a third of those in Madrid, where some residents were advised to stay home. 28,000 people have died of COVID-19 in Spain. The federal government and Ontario have teamed up with 3M on a deal they say will provide millions of N95 masks that are made in Canada. Great news for healthcare workers, but as Vicadopia shows us, the timing may be too late for some.
The N95 is a coveted and critical piece of defensive equipment against the coronavirus. So coveted, Canadian hospitals struggled to import enough at the height of the pandemic. Even today, a hospital can still use 500 a day. Now, Ontario and Ottawa are chipping in $46 million so they can be made at home by 3M.
This plant will deliver 25 million N95 masks each year to the federal government and another 25 million to the province of Ontario.
I know that Ontario will never have to depend on another country for the N95 mask.
When 3M is set up, it'll add to a smaller supply of N95s, which began rolling off the production line this week at another Canadian company. GM Canada is also getting into making paper masks.
I don't think that anybody in the healthcare community is going to disagree with feeling a little less anxiety, knowing that we have more control over that supply chain, because that was really what landed us in the predicament that we were in when we started all of this in March and April.
The pandemic has exposed the precarious state of Canada's access to personal protective equipment. Tight demand has led to substandard, even counterfeit products hitting the market, so quality is not always assured.
So we receive a box of masks like this. This came from what's called Radio City, China. That doesn't sound very encouraging, but I actually have no idea about the actual quality of these things.
The 3M masks won't be ready until the new year, which raises some concerns.
The time to act is now. Ramp up the production full force right now while we're under control. If we get a serious second wave where we get a rapid increase in the number of COVID cases in the community, all bets are off.
Because if it turns out to be a bad flu season, it won't take much to overwhelm hospitals and their supplies. Vic Adopia, CBC News, Toronto.
This was the last day for Conservatives to vote for their new leader. They cast ballots in record numbers while candidates hustled for support right to the end. Hannah Thibodeau looks at the final day of the race ahead of Sunday's big reveal.
Final ballots before the deadline, and they're all for Aaron O'Toole.
I'm just dropping off a few ballots.
Bags and bushels of ballots were delivered right up until the deadline.
Hey, Peter, these are for you.
With such a close race, there was a last-minute push to get votes. Peter MacKay was on the ground in Quebec.
I'm so very, very grateful to all of you for the hard work, for the sacrifice, for the time that you put in.
Leslyn Lewis picked up ballots in Brampton, and Aaron O'Toole did 300 calls a day and made a pitch on social media.
This leadership race has been unlike anything in Canadian history.
It has been unusual. COVID-19 forced the race to be held mostly online. And over 8 months, it was largely eclipsed by the pandemic, a crashing economy, and the WE scandal. But over $8 million was raised, and more than 165,000 ballots cast, a record-breaking turnout.
I think at the start of this leadership process, we all could have said, well, the big names didn't run, and there's a pandemic, and I'm worried it's all going to be a little bit of a waste. Instead, we end up with biggest fundraising ever, biggest membership count ever, and now it looks like the biggest ever leadership convention held by any party in Canadian history.
Now, this is where the ballots will be processed, and then early Sunday morning, the counting will start. After the leader is chosen, most Conservatives agree on what comes next.
The first thing that we will have in mind after the result is unity, unity, unity. If we have to call an election, everybody will put aside the difference and they will work together.
Whoever wins already knows how to campaign during a pandemic, something that could come in handy as talk of a snap election persists. Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, Ottawa.
And stay with us for a deeper look at the Conservative leadership contest from two party insiders. Jenny Byrne, former Deputy Chief of Staff to Prime Minister Stephen Harper, and Shakir Chambers, a Conservative strategist and senior consultant for Navigator. They'll join me in about half an hour. In Washington, the U.S. Postmaster General was in the hot seat. As Katie Simpson tells us, he was grilled about the reliability of the Postal Service for delivering mail-in ballots during a pandemic election and whether he's part of a bigger plan to get Donald Trump reelected.
U.S. postal workers will be ready for whatever comes their way this fall, according to their boss.
Do you swear the testimony you will give before this committee?
The Postmaster General told Congress today, pandemic-weary voters can be confident their mail-in ballots will be delivered.
I want to assure this committee and the American public that the Postal Service is fully capable and committed to delivering the nation's election mail securely and on time.
During an online hearing, Louis DeJoy admitted his new cost-cutting measures have led to delivery delays. And with more Americans expected to vote by mail this year than ever before, the changes led to significant backlash and have been put on hold until after the election. But Democrats say this is all part of a bigger plot to help the president win re-election by destabilizing the mail-in voting system.
You have undermined one of our nation's most trusted institutions and wreaked havoc on families, on veterans, seniors, rural communities, and on people all across our country.
Donald Trump has repeatedly said, without evidence, universal mail-in voting leads to fraud. His critics say Trump is trying to suppress the vote because larger turnout tends to favor Democrats.
This will be the greatest catastrophe, one of the greatest catastrophes in the history of our country. That's how serious it is.
DeJoy is a Republican megadonor, giving the party millions of dollars, and Trump picked his wife, Dr. Aldona Was, to serve as ambassador to Canada. He insists voting by mail is safe
and denies that politics influences his decisions.
But moving forward, trying to have any negative impact on the election is an outrageous claim.
DeJoy has only been on the job a couple of months, and Democrats don't like what they've seen so far. They've called a rare weekend house sitting to discuss legislation to further protect postal services. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
California's deadly wildfires continue to spread, with 560 now burning across the state.
These fires, again, are stretching our resources, stressing our personnel.
Despite some 12,000 firefighters on the ground, California is struggling. The governor says he's requested help from Canada and Australia, as well as 10 U.S. states. At least 6 deaths have been linked to the fires. There are more than 100,000 evacuees.
I'm trying to think really positively right now.
Here in British Columbia, wildfire continues to threaten the town of Penticton in the Okanagan. Officials warning it could get worse due to a shift in wind conditions. Some residents have been warned to be ready to leave. The flames have burned through almost 2,000 hectares and already forced hundreds from their homes. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny will receive medical care in Germany. He was let out of a Siberian hospital in a coma with suspected poisoning. His supporters accuse the Kremlin of trying to cover it up. Navalny is longtime opponent and critic of Russian President Vladimir Putin. Britney Spears is fighting to keep her father from controlling her career and her life.
Seeing how this unjust system is playing out with respect to Britney Spears, I think is waking a lot of people up.
Up next, inside a social media movement and the push to change mental health conservatorships. And later we check in with Canadians ahead of the Conservative leadership results.
I'm looking for, someone who's going to actually portray the Conservative Party as an inclusive party.
Their message for the next leader. Plus, staying connected during the pandemic.
That's a bingo. We've got a confirmed bingo, folks! Noreen from 311!
How Balcony Bingo is bringing seniors together, one number at a time. We're back in 2. Lori Loughlin will spend 2 months in prison for her role in the U.S. college admission scandal. The former Full House star was sentenced today along with her husband. He'll serve 5 months in jail. The couple paid $500,000 in bribes to get their 2 daughters into the University of Southern California as rowing recruits. They are among nearly 30 prominent parents, including some Canadians, who have admitted to charges in the scheme. Another star is in the midst of her own legal battle. Britney Spears is fighting to keep her father from once again taking broad control over her life. And as Eli Glasner shows us, it's all sparked a social media movement.
From Miley Cyrus to Rose McGowan.
It's time she gets to be free.
This isn't the first time concerns over Britney Spears have bubbled up. But this week she spoke through her lawyer to challenge her father's control over her life. Jamie Spears and lawyer Andrew Wallet became Britney's co-conservators in 2008, following a series of public incidents and hospitalizations. The role, also known as a guardianship, gives them major powers over the pop star.
Essentially, a person is back in a legal status where, as if they were a minor. They are unable to make even the most basic decisions about their day-to-day life.
Last year, Spears' father relinquished control to Spears' personal care manager due to health issues. Documents filed this week say Britney is strongly opposed to James' return. The move inspired a new wave of speculation for the Free Britney movement. Fans who pore over her Instagram looking for signs of distress. Outside the court, supporters and Spears' former makeup artist spoke out.
The decision of retiring should be hers, right? Yes.
Inside, according to documents, the court extended the terms of the conservatorship until 2021. But discussion around Spears is shedding new light on alternatives.
It's an old model, and that we have newer models that we should try. We don't have to take away all of someone's legal rights in order to help them.
Inside the disabled community, there's a push towards what's called supported decision-making, which gives people more autonomy.
Seeing how this unjust system is playing out with respect to Britney Spears, I think is waking a lot of people up.
As for Spears, her lawyer has until September 18th to file a petition to change the conservatorship. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
After the break, the mail-in ballots are in and the countdown for the next Conservative leader is on. So how does Alberta feel about its options this time around? We'll bring you the view from that province next. Welcome back. Conservative Party members will find out who their new leader is on Sunday, a choice that could reach beyond the party itself, with the Liberal government facing a confidence vote. The new Tory leader could soon be campaigning to lead the country. Rafi Boudjikanian has the view from Alberta.
Spend some time in Drayton Valley, you'll quickly meet Albertans who've given up on Canada. Chris Birch lost his oil and gas job 5 years ago.
Look at this town. I mean, half the town is empty buildings.
A grim reality for much of Alberta since 2015. Plummeting oil prices, high unemployment, and anger at Ottawa meant the Liberals were shut out completely in last year's federal election.
I will be reaching out to leaders across the country. We'll be reaching out specifically to Westerners.
That's something Conservative leadership candidates have been doing.
He is a principled Conservative.
Erin O'Toole even earned an endorsement from Alberta Premier Jason Kenney earlier this year. O'Toole's team says his support for the oil and gas industry makes him well-placed to quell separatist sentiment.
That kind of experience on the ground and into the policy side of our energy sector, which is still the most important part of our economy, I think is important for someone at the national level to have.
Wexit is still a relatively small movement in Alberta, and Peter MacKay's supporters say the party must think about all of Canada.
Peter has so many qualities that would make him more appealing.
Rick Peterson was the only Alberta candidate in the race. He dropped out and now wants to run in the next general election in the only Alberta riding that did not go Tory blue last October.
If we win Edmonton Strathcona as a party, that means we can win other ridings that are similar urban, eclectic ridings in the GTA in Montreal.
This political scientist says the results of the Conservative leadership race won't affect separatist sentiment in Alberta.
It's not going to amplify Wexit. It just seems like it's going to be a pretty steady, but still very fringe part of what we see on Canada's political right.
Thomas says many Albertans care more about the Conservatives winning the next election than who actually wins on Sunday. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Edmonton.
Now let's hear from two Canadians we spoke to last year on the National before the 2019 election. They took part in our face-to-face segment, asking questions directly to party leaders. Well, tonight they're sharing what they'd want and expect from a new Conservative leader.
My name is Omer Ali. I'm 31 years old. I live in Brampton, Ontario. I'm currently working in the corporate retail world, and I'm a self-confessed political enthusiast who loves to keep up to date with what's going on in the political world in Canada. I do like conservative fiscal policies. However, I'm finding it difficult to cast my ballot this time around for the Conservatives. With the previous election, I was more concerned about the inclusivity within the Conservative Party. I've always found that people of my color, people of my religion have not always been well representative in the Conservative Party, and that's really what I wanted Mr. Andrew Scheer to clarify. COVID has definitely changed my opinion on how the leader of the country should create the way for the country moving forward. But however, with the Conservative Party, my priorities remain the same. I'm looking for someone who's going to actually portray the Conservative Party as an inclusive party. As a brown Muslim man, where do I fit in the Conservative Party? I've been keeping up with the leadership race. I'm sort of 50-50 at this moment. I'm particularly happy with, I would say, 3 of the 4 candidates. There is a sort of racist rhetoric, very anti-immigration. I hope the new leader will sort of do a 180 when it comes to their outreach to all Canadians within the Conservative Party conversation. If they ever are in power, if we find a Conservative Party Prime Minister and we have to go through something like this again, that they are able to speak to all Canadians.
My name is Marcus Harvey. I live in Majorville, New Brunswick, here in the beautiful country of Canada.
What have I been doing during the COVID crisis here in New Brunswick? I do a lot of walking along the St. John River in my off time.
I'm married and I have 3 sons. When I was speaking to Andrew Scheer last time before the last election, my main concern at that time was climate change. For the first 40 years of my life, we've had 4 floods. In the last 10, we've had 7. If the water goes over the road next year, it'll be 4 and 4. This year, we didn't get the flood, but we got COVID instead. Since COVID-19 started, I've been lucky, myself and my family, we've been able to work throughout. No one in my family has received a CERB check or any other financial aid from the government, yet we're expected as a middle-class Canadian to carry our own weight and through our taxes help our fellow Canadians. But financially, I would like to see a break for the middle class, and that's one of the main concerns for me. And should you form government, in the new Conservative leader, I'd like to see somebody who is more centered politically, someone who is politically savvy, and someone that can take on Trudeau, address the issues that have happened, and then if they are to form government, make those decisions, be fiscally responsible, get the economy back, get us through this COVID thing, and hope for brighter days on the other side of this.
When we come back, more on what to expect from this Sunday's Conservative leadership results. Our panel of party insiders sets up the stakes. And later.
Labatt Park's been here since day one, and we wanted to keep that heritage and that history going on, the legacy going.
We'll take you to the world's oldest ballpark for its first pitch of 2020. Eight months after the federal Conservative leadership race began, we're about to find out who the winner is. A campaign complicated by the global pandemic, an economic crisis, and a minority government facing a confidence vote next month. All of this has put a sharper focus on a new leader. Peter MacKay is considered by many to be the front runner.
People need to see themselves in this party. It needs to modernize.
But veteran MP Aaron O'Toole is confident he can win.
We need strong leadership to unite our party, take the hyphen out of being a Conservative.
Leslyn Lewis is a political newcomer who's impressed a lot of people. She's the only woman and person of color in the race.
I believe that when Conservatives unite, we can start the work of healing this great nation.
And Derek Sloan is a social conservative trying to drum up support for his vision of Canada.
I will never give an inch to political correctness. I'm the only candidate that is committed to defunding the World Health Organization and getting Canada out of the Paris Agreement.
So as party officials get set to count the ballots and announce the winner on Sunday, what can we expect? Well, joining us now are Conservative strategist Jenny Byrne, former Deputy Chief of Staff to Stephen Harper, and Shakir Chambers, a senior consultant at Navigator. Welcome to both of you. And Shakir, I'll start with you. The ballots are all in. How do you see things on Sunday unfolding?
Well, I mean, there can be different scenarios. We do assume that MacKay is a front runner, but I think as you go through this race, if we start going into a second ballot and a third ballot, I think it really throws things in the air. And if MacKay is not winning on a first ballot, which I don't think he will, I think it starts to become a more complicated situation. And whoever is a presumed second place, which I think Aaron O'Toole is doing pretty well right now, getting into those later ballots gives him a stronger chance of coming out as a leader.
And Jenny, your view on Sunday?
Yeah, I agree with Shakir. I think it obviously looks like MacKay is the presumed front runner. And I think that the political graveyard is littered with people who have tried to make predictions on a weighted voting system like we have on the second and third ballot. So I think it probably will go to a third ballot. We of course went to 14 last time. So I think we'll see. I think the story of this campaign is really going to be Leslyn Lewis. I think she's run a great campaign. I think she's got a lot of momentum. Her campaign just announced that it raised $2 million in total yesterday. So I think she's going to be someone to watch out for.
What sort of impact do you think, Jenny, that she will have on the Conservative Party going forward?
I think she's a great candidate. She's got multiple degrees. She's a lawyer that's practiced for over 20 years in Toronto. She's got an environmental PhD, I believe it is, and so I think it's great to have some fresh blood in the campaign. And there's a lot of people I've spoken to across the country who have been members for a long time who were looking at voting and voted for Leslyn this time around.
And Shakir, what about Derek Sloan, who many may consider to be the least likely to win, I guess, depending on how they're predicting things here. But again, I guess the same kind of question. What impact do you think he's going to have on the party after this race?
Well, I think you can't just dismiss Derek Sloan or his positions as out of hand. I think there's something to be said about this notion of being too politically correct, not being able to have free speech and say what's on your mind. So I think ultimately for him, if his constituents want him as a representative at Parliament Hill, you have to abide by what constituents say. But I think as far as representing the party, there is a voice there. There are some people he resonates with, and I think you have to respect that.
Leadership campaigns can be a time of renewal. They can also be a time of great risk for a party. Shakir, and I'll ask you this in a second, Jenny, but Shakir, are you nervous at all? Are you excited here on the eve of the announcement of the new leader?
I'm pretty excited, and I would say, looking at the turnout right now, I've heard 165,000, even as high as 180,000 members have cast the ballot. That's the highest in any leadership race, as far as I'm aware. So I think there's a lot of excitement. Whoever is going to be our new leader is going to have a lot of wind in their sails. I mean, we're seeing what's happening with the Liberal Party right now, scandal after scandal. We're going into a situation where Parliament has been prorogued. We're going to have a speech from the throne. So I think members are actually very excited. And I think a lot of Canadians are probably giving our party a second look, given what's happened with the Liberals and their mismanagement. And they're saying, you know what, if Conservatives can put forward a convincing reason to vote for them, if they can earn our trust, we would like to have a Conservative government in power.
And Jenny?
Well, I think it's very exciting for the party. As Shakir said, there could be up to 180,000 people voting, which is the biggest leadership race in Canadian history. And so I think that to the point that Shakir had, I think that the leader is going to have to start off right away. Whoever is elected is going to have to bring the party together. Leadership races are chippy. This one was even chippier than most others are.
But I mean, you mentioned chippy. I mean, you know, like that is going to be difficult, I think. I think a lot of people wonder how the leader will be able to bring the party together. And you know, if you don't, that's a huge problem. We just saw that with the last leader. So Jenny, like practically speaking, how big a challenge is that going to be, unity for the party going forward?
Listen, I think that you look at leaders like Stephen Harper, who brought the party together. The parties merged in 2004, the PC Party and the Alliance. He won a leadership race and brought the party together right after that, right away. And you also look at Doug Ford. He won a leadership race, and the next day, Christine Elliott was appointed deputy leader, and the top-ranking campaign managers of the other leadership contestants that ran against Doug were brought into the war room and part of the campaign. So I think it's absolutely doable, and I think it's something that the party is going to expect the new leader to accomplish as one of their first jobs.
And Shakir, how do you feel about the challenge of unity?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. I mean, even when you look at what's happening out west with the prairies in Alberta, as far as the Wexit movement, it's going to take a lot to ensure that we have party unity. But I think ultimately the Conservative Party is focused on the cause, right? The cause is to get into power. The cause is to remove Justin Trudeau from being in power and the Liberal Party from being in power. And I think we'll all rally around that cause and move forward as a united front to win power in the next general election.
Both of you, obviously ardent Conservative supporters. You're going to put, as you should, you know, the most positive spin on this. But let me finish by asking each of you this question. And Jenny, I'll start with you. What does success look like for you on Sunday night?
Listen, I think success has already happened. I think we have the largest membership election in Canadian history for any party. I think that campaigns have ran really good campaigns. There's been a lot of rejuvenation, new members, and so I think the success is already. There.
Shakir?
I think ultimately it's not just about Sunday. It's about what happens moving forward. I think ultimately we need to, as a party, ensure that we have practical Conservative solutions for modern day problems. And whoever the leader is, they need to ensure that they have a vision for what a Conservative country will look like, right? We understand that the Liberals are going to have their agenda and put forth what they think is the best way to govern Canada. We need to ensure we have a counter to that and ensure that we can, again, build the trust of Canadians that we can be the party in waiting and be the next government of Canada.
Really nice talking to both of you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And on Sunday, our chief political correspondent, Rosemary Barton, will host special coverage starting at 5 Eastern. You can catch the results and analysis on CBC Television, CBC News Network, and on GEM, followed by a special Sunday at issue later on the National. After the break, baseball returns to the oldest diamond in the world, keeping a tradition alive in the midst of a global pandemic. That's next.
It's good. Look at OT. Good. Yes.
Like the way he didn't touch that ball.
An incredible shot by Toronto Raptors' Fred Van Vliet, helping his team toward victory and a 3-0 lead in their playoff series against the Brooklyn Nets. The Raptors have a chance to clinch the series Sunday night. In London, Ontario tonight, an exhibition baseball game is being played to keep a streak alive. The city's Labatt Memorial Park is the world's oldest diamond and has hosted ball games for 144 straight years. COVID threatened that, but tonight met its match. Devin Haru takes us there.
An opening pitch carrying the weight of local baseball history.
It's like waking up on the first day of school. You know what? You're happy to be out here. You know what? We're going to brighten up a lot of hearts today.
This team, this old ballpark for decades, the heartbeat of the community. But there are concessions to keep the streak alive in a pandemic. About 100 spectators are allowed in, not the usual thousands. Still, getting back on the field is a feat.
There's so many behind the scenes people, you know, you want to thank, but just to see everyone come together, it gives me goosebumps, you know.
Emotions running high, game day again.
Knock him down, drag him out. I didn't give an inch to anybody, and that's the way I played.
Meet Barry Bugner, a former NHLer and a member of the championship-winning 1975 London Majors.
Well, probably in my lifetime, this is probably my fondest memories. When you come here, you're in my opinion, this is the most beautiful place in London, Ontario. It's the nicest ballpark, amateur ballpark I've ever been in.
There's a treasure trove of memories here. The first game ever played, May 3rd, 1877, between the London Tecumsehs and its junior team, the London Atlantics. By the mid-1920s, a popular women's sports league also played here, and in the 40s, the Women's Major Softball League.
It's hard to put into words what this park means to me, and I think it means to London. It's a jewel, it's a gem.
Baseball historian Chip Martin says it's only fitting Guelph is taking the field against London.
It was because of Guelph this park was built. It was that rivalry.
A rivalry renewed to keep a streak alive. 2 world wars didn't stop it, nor the Spanish flu, and now this pandemic won't either. A field of dreams built on swampland, a community's connection to history. 144 years and counting. Devin Haru, CBC News, London, Ontario.
That is a nice piece of television. Up next in our moment, a long-distance bingo of sorts.
Well, that's a bingo. What's your name, ma'am? Karen Amston. Give everyone a shout out.
From the sidewalk to balconies, how the game has become more than just connecting the chips. While making noise with pots and pans became a tradition to recognize healthcare workers during the pandemic, seniors of this Toronto residence created their own tradition, balcony bingo. Every Friday, the tenants come out of their apartments to play bingo from the comfort and safety of their own balconies. It is a chance to socialize and to win prizes, and their final game of the summer is our moment.
We've got a confirmed bingo, folks. Noreen from 311, for your big winner.
Today was the grand finale of Balcony Bingo. It's a program that Neighborhood Group has been running here at 11 Coatesworth all summer. Obviously, as the name suggests, folks outdoors, me down here in the courtyard calling out the numbers, and it's something that the residents really look forward to.
They can see each other, they can talk to each other, then we can be all engaged as a group, and everyone is very, very safe.
Only 72, that is a rapid fire bingo right there. Congratulations.
It's just been really lots of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was nice to get out with being stuck in the apartment on account of the COVID, you know.
We've all had to adapt in our different ways in life, and there is a real competitive spirit around bingo in the senior community, and so being able to bring that back throughout the summer, making sure that that tradition stays alive. It's a highlight of their week, and to be very honest, it's a highlight of my week too.
All righty, Karen's a big winner. Way to go, Karen. 2 winners on our first round.
So you heard a couple of references to the word safety. How safe? Well, there hasn't been a single COVID case in that complex, so that's really good news. The grand prize, by the way, for the last game of the summer, an iPad, so a little bit of old school bingo and some relatively new school technology, and a nice way to try to deal with what otherwise would be, being separate and solitary during the pandemic. That is the National for August the 21st. See you Sunday. Good night.